Welcome back to the Project Gen X podcast. I am one of your hosts, Alan Smith, along with...
I'm the other guy, Big Dave.
And on this episode, we're going to get a little dark.
2, 3, 4. I actually, I don't know if you noticed it on the last episode, I actually slipped in what we were talking about in this episode.
Potentially.
Oh, I absolutely did.
Oh, I don't know. When I go back and edit.
I did it on purpose. I did it on purpose.
We are going to talk about the...
And then I whispered preview afterwards.
Okay. We are going to talk about the 1995 drama. Most definitely.
Crime thriller.
Se7en.
What's in the box?
Yeah, I know. That's kind of the legacy of that.
What's in the box?
Unfortunately, that's the kind of the legacy of that movie.
Unfortunately. And it shouldn't be, because this is a dark film.
You know, a few years ago, I went back and rewatched this movie for the first time in a very long time.
Yeah.
And was absolutely amazed not only at how well it held up, which, again, watching it this time, I was like, oh my God, this movie held up. But also the fact of even knowing how this movie ended, I thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end.
Yeah. And if you have not seen this movie yet,
go watch it before you listen
stop
to this.
here. Stop the podcast right here, because there are going to be all kinds of spoilers on this episode.
There is.
So stop the episode right now. Go watch it. It's on Vudu. It's like a $3.
Is it on Vudu?
$4 rental.
Yeah, I know it was supposed. It was supposed to have been on Max, or at least it was, and it's not there any longer. Again, I own a hard copy of it.
Yeah.
I've owned it for a few years now, and David Fincher
Started out in music videos.
He started out in music video, but I was just like, man, the run that he was on.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
And I mean, like,
get the list.
I have. I've got it right here.
Get the list out.
Going back, I'm just, obviously he's done quite a few things, but I'm going to he did a bunch of music videos, and I'm trying to find the first. Wow, he did a bunch of music videos. And I mean a bunch of music videos.
I'm guessing a bunch of them for 9 Inch Nails and maybe Mary
Okay,
Manson.
his first, it looks like his first major, movie that he directed was, is that right? Yeah, Aliens 3.
Really?
Yeah. Which again, and if you go back and watch Alien 3, you can see the Fincher all over it.
Yeah.
It's a very different. Those movies, there's a big jump between the tone of Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
And then there's another big jump between Aliens and Alien 3.
Yeah.
When you get to Alien 3, it's very much this isolated place. And there are a lot of themes that are running through with religion and a whole bunch of stuff. It's just kind of like, wow, this is...
Which is kind of a theme with him.
Yes, it very much is. But yeah, that was... Alien 3 was his first big directorial movie as far as movies go. And that was in 1992. And then 7 was his next one, which 1995. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after that, you got The Game in 97. Did you ever see that?
I don't remember.
Of Michael Douglas, Sean Penn. It's a whole thing where, Michael Douglas is he's an exec. He's kind of got everything. And Sean Penn plays his brother. I think it's Sean Penn. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah. Sean Penn plays his brother.
Okay.
And he tells him, he's like, hey, I got you something for your birthday. It's a game, and you won't know what it is until it starts.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's basically this whole thing where the game is that all of a sudden he's sucked into this mystery of, I think it's a murder or something like that, and he's being framed for it, and he's trying to get away. But ultimately what it comes down to is that he doesn't realize that that this is all being done to him
on purpose.
and none of it's real until the very end of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate to spoil, but it's actually a pretty good. I remember watching it. I only watched it.
I don't
one time,
remember
so
it.
I'm kind of. I saw it when I was working at a movie gallery because it came in. I was like, oh, that looks pretty interesting. And then not knowing anything about Fincher. And then of course after that you had Fight Club.
Yeah.
And then you had Panic Room, which
was not a great movie.
No, it really wasn't.
But look at the string he had before he got to a really bad one.
Then he had Zodiac after that, which is okay. And then The Curious Case of Benjamin Button,
which was a good movie.
It's all right.
I enjoyed it. The
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, the American version.
No, the European version of that is very much better than that.
And he did some. I think he directed some House of Cards stuff. He was involved in that. Gone Girl, which is a really good movie.
I never saw it.
You haven't seen that one? He did Mindhunter on which is Netflix, I think.
Oh, that's a good series.
Yeah. He did Mank. I'm not sure about that one. He did one of the Love, Death, and Robots episodes on Netflix. Have you watched?
I still need to watch that,
dude. That first, I haven't seen anything past the first season, mainly because I don't have a Netflix account any longer.
Yeah.
That first season is really good. And then he did The Killer last year. What was that? I don't know who that.
Never even heard of that.
Michael Fassbender, Tilda Swinton. I don't know about that one.
But today we're talking about Seven.
And those are the movies he directed. Now as a producer, he's produced a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
But those are, that's a pretty good run of movies.
Yeah.
Where it's, hey.
He's eating pretty well.
Yeah. And again, with Seven and Fight Club and Zodiac, and The Game even, and Gone Girl, those are all movies.
Benjamin Button.
But those are all movies that people still talk about as like, oh, they were these really wild out there movies, that all had these big, they all had big twists in them.
Yeah.
Of some sort. And again, like if you go back to Alien 3, that's kind of an up and down movie.
Yeah.
But the reason it's up and down is because that script was worked on so many times it wasn't even funny.
Yeah.
Like what he started out making was not what wound up on screen because of studio interference and all this kind of stuff and
as usually happens.
Yeah, and it's just, you can't go wrong with a lot of that.
Yeah.
Let's go down the cast here real quick, because there were some notable people that I saw in this that I was like, oh, I forgot. Even since watching it just a couple of years ago.
Mark Boone Jr. was just absolutely unrecognizable.
That Bobby Elvis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. That was one I was like, oh, wow. That's
Mark Boone Jr.
He's only in like 2 scenes. That's it.
I love it when he shows up in something because I'm like, oh, it's Mark Boone Jr.
I've seen him in several things since I watched Sons of Anarchy. Then I've gone back and found him in other stuff. But yeah,
I love that character. That's probably one of my 2 favorite characters on Sons of Anarchy.
For the most part, I like that character. There was a few things that Bobby Elvis did that I'm like, no, should have never happened.
Well, he's a little bit of he's a biker, so
well, but not voting the way he should have.
I know why he did it.
I know why he did it, but
it was.
Look at what happened because he didn't do the right thing. Okay?
We'll talk about it later. We'll talk about it later.
He should have voted yes on Mr. Chaos. That is the
Mr. Mayhem.
Mr. Mayhem. Mr. Mayhem. I'm sorry, and he didn't do it. And look at the havoc that was wrought after that. So it was.
Move along.
So Morgan Freeman as William Somerset. You have Brad Pitt as David Mills, which is funny because I think Mills' first name is only said once.
No. I think it's 3 times.
Mills?
David.
Yeah, David Mills. David is only said his wife.
It's when he's introduced to William for the dinner party.
By his wife.
By his wife.
Mm-hmm.
The second time is by his wife. And I think the third time was at the end.
Oh, John Doe said it, didn't he? That's right. And then as far as Somerset, Detective Somerset, William, again,
it's always Somerset.
It's William is only said by Tracy.
Yeah.
Like she's always calling him William. She doesn't call him Somerset, she calls him William. And and in the couple scenes that she's in with him, that's all that's there.
Yeah.
So, and then we have Kevin Spacey as John Doe. What a great performance.
Oh, yeah.
What a great performance.
I mean, nobody plays a sleazebag like a sleazebag.
No, there's that also. We have Gwyneth Paltrow as Tracy. This was probably the movie. Now, the movie people kind of go back to on her as her breakout role was Emma.
Yeah.
That was prior to this. But this was the movie that really pushed her into the, oh, hey, who is this person? And then, of course, she was dating Brad Pitt at the time and all that stuff, and that helped out as well.
Well, they had met on Legends of the Fall.
Was she? She wasn't in Legends of the Fall, was she? I don't think she was she?
Pretty sure.
Gwyneth Paltrow. If she was in Legends of the Fall, she was in it for like that long. Oh, you know what? Emma was after that. It was after 7. She wasn't in Legends of the Fall.
I think she had auditioned for something. And
maybe. I don't know.
And then Brad Pitt had pulled her in for this movie.
I don't know. Something like that. There was, I know there was something because he previously had been dating Juliette Lewis when they were, when they did California together. And then he, I don't know, apparently dumped her for Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know the whole situation there. I don't care. It's...
Yeah.
But she was the second of Brad Pitt's girlfriends to wind up in an Alyssa Etheridge video.
You know who was originally slated to direct this movie? It was Jeremiah Chechik, National Lampoons for Christmas Vacation.
That would have been a completely different movie.
Yeah. He was the one that was hired originally to be the director on it.
Yeah, that would have been
but he was looking for a
completely different movie.
Yeah.
And then we can go down the line. There are a whole bunch of people. I'm just going to point out some of the bigger names. Arlie Ermy.
Yes.
Okay, I completely forgot that he was in this both times that I've rewatched this. And then it's nice to see him not play Gunny.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's like where it's like it is a very subdued role.
Yeah.
He's not that over the top, yelling and, boot camp type thing. And he plays a police chief or the police captain, and he was really good. It's one of those things. He comes into a scene, he does what he's supposed to do, and then he's out. Hawthorne James, which, he's been in all kinds of stuff.
I was right. Pitt had been impressed with Paltrow's audition for Legends of the Fall.
Is that what it was?
Part,
okay.
So he recommended her for the part.
Richard Roundtree as the DA.
Yep.
That's his Talbot, which, again, great. He was really good in it. I'm trying to think who else am I missing. Oh, and I like there was one. It was a very minor role. This is John C. McGinley.
Oh, that's right.
He's the SWAT.
Yeah.
He's only in just a few scenes. He's the one that at the end in the helicopter, he's the one that's directing.
Yeah.
That's leading the whole thing. He's the when they go into the murder scene for the guy that was Sloth.
Yeah.
He's the one that leans over and says, "You got what you deserved" to him. And it's just like, and again, it's one of those things. He's in it. Just
You got what you
I know.
deserve.
I know. When we
and then the guy
it.
takes the breath. And
I know.
Just like,
and when we get there, there's and Bob Stevenson, which again, he's one of the cops. Like the I remember it. He's one of those. Like, I don't know who you're talking about. He was in Fight Club also, but he's been in a bunch of other stuff. Like, he's one of those like, oh, it's that guy. Yeah. Oh, it's that guy.
Well, Michael Massey was in this also.
Massey was in it?
Yeah. He was the man in the massage parlor booth.
Oh, yeah. I can see that now. Yeah. From The Crow.
Yeah.
I'm sure you go on down through here, you'll find a whole bunch of other, like...
Pamela Tyson.
Who's Pamela Tyson?
Oh, you asked me that, and now I've lost it.
Well, anyway... a bunch of little minor roles that stand out.
Yeah.
In all this, on top of the big four in this. Right from the beginning, the way this, it starts off with a remix of "Closer," by 9 Inch Nails,
and the opening credits are basically the killer doing all the prep work,
for and until you
documentation,
until you get in. If it's the first time you've seen the movie, you don't get all of that. Until later in, whenever it's like, oh, I know what was going on in those little flashes that we were seeing in the opening credits. Yeah. And I really like the way this starts off at a scene that has at a murder scene that has nothing to do with
anything.
This particular serial killer.
Or so we think.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, you're
the
right.
very first one. It's the domestic violence.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, we find out that Somerset's got 7 days left on the job. Yeah. And one of the other detectives is kind of like, oh, you're here, you're going to, you always take this stuff so seriously. And it's kind of that whole, like, cops like, yeah, let's just get this over with. And he's very much like,
and
no.
You can tell there's something different about this.
There is, because the question that he asks, he's in the kitchen. Yeah. And he sees there's
drawing on the refrigerator.
Kids' artwork on the refrigerator. And he asks, he's like, did the child see it happen? Because it
and
was
the other
a murder-suicide.
Like, what kid?
Yeah, and he's like, that's not our business. All we have to worry about is that. But that's where you see where Somerset is coming from. Yeah. He has this whole different mindset. It's not just...
He's got a different vision.
Exactly. And, a year later, Millennium would come on the air. Yeah. And Frank Black is a lot like Somerset.
Well... If it had been any later in the timeline, he probably would have been promoted up and gone over into a specialty called profiling.
Yeah, but
because he's straight up a profiler.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with that. But you can see the through line from Se7en to Millennium, which I love bringing Millennium up anytime I can because it's such a good show. Yeah, people really missed out on that one. They slept on it and it just disappeared, and that's about it. And then we get to the first murder, or actually that's when what's his name comes in.
That's when Mills
shows up and he wants to go.
You've got this new guy.
He just transferred.
Fought for to move to this city.
Right. They was in a much smaller. They were upstate. That's all they say. That's the thing. They never say what city this is.
It's an unnamed city.
Unnamed city. The only thing they ever really mention is that they were upstate. Before. Him and Tracy had moved from there.
But you can tell it's not New York.
I want to say it's Chicago. Honestly,
that's what it feels like.
That has always been, from the first time I saw this, even though I was like, I think this is supposed to be Chicago. Yeah, and the reason why I say it is because of the quote unquote subway. It's basically the L is what it is, and that's
it's not the subway. It's just the city trains.
Well, they say subway whenever they're later when we find out the whole thing about the apartment that they live in, and
because I did a little research, I know where the whole thing was shot.
Okay,
but
was it Toronto?
No, it was actually the whole thing was shot in downtown L.A.
In L.A., really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The whole thing was shot downtown in L.A. But you never see a palm tree. You never see anything that points to...
It's raining all the time, so it's obviously not L.A. Not in this world, it's not L.A.
To me, it very much felt like Chicago.
Very much.
Or maybe
a Seattle. Maybe, because of the raining, maybe somewhere in the Pacific Northwest.
I was thinking it's maybe somewhere a little bit more upper Midwest, somewhere over in Wisconsin, like Minnesota or something like that.
It could be Minnesota. Yeah, who knows? Hell, it could be Cleveland for although there's no lake, but it's one of those.
Right.
It gets same thing with Chicago. You don't see a lake, the Great Lakes. So,
but with the trains the way it was, it felt very Chicago.
Yeah, it does. It very much Middle America. Yeah. Somewhere in there, using the terminology upstate, that suggests New York. Yeah, but that's not exclusive to New York.
But it was, New York was the inspiration for this.
Oh, I don't
because the writer moved from Pennsylvania to New York during that mid '80s crime wave that was happening, and that very much affected the way he wrote this.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
honestly, it could be any number of places. Definitely Midwest somewhere.
Yeah.
That's a.
I don't exactly count Pittsburgh.
Well, if it's not one of the flyover states, how about that?
Okay. Yeah.
So that the coastal elites can feel good about themselves to talk about flyover states, fuckers. So it's
wow. Talk about animosity. So anyway, Mills shows up first day,
and
walks.
And Somerset's like,
actually, he walks in on the domestic.
He walks in and
he's like, Somerset.
Yeah, and then he says, "Wait, let's go to a bar." He's like, "I don't want to go to a bar. Let's go to this." He wants to get in immediately. He wants to jump right
he's
into
very
it.
young. He's very eager. He's very idealistic.
Yes.
He still thinks he can make a difference.
Right.
He's been a detective for 5 years at that point.
I know he talks about 5 years. I don't know, has he been a detective for 5 years or has he been on the force for 5 years?
I don't know, but
I mean, obviously, because Brad Pitt was like, 33, 34 when he made this movie, 35, somewhere right in there. So it's one of those things that he plays that age rather than some 20-something, whatever.
But he's very gung-ho.
Right, which means he's
on
been on the
fire.
job for a while, at least. And he is. He's very on fire. He wants to get the bad guys.
And he's very much the opposite of Somerset at this point, who is
right,
disillusioned, jaded.
He's also
he's very tired of people.
Mills is also very impulsive, driven by his emotions, which comes into play a couple of times in this. And so when they find the first body, when they're called to that, which this entire movie takes place over 7 days.
Yeah.
Which
he's supposed to retire in 7 days.
Right.
The movie happens in 7 days.
Right.
It's about the 7 deadly sins.
Right. Yeah, and I noticed there's a lot
of
seven of that type stuff.
Themology going on.
And
the 7 levels of Dante.
Yeah, 7 levels. Or no, there's actually 9 levels of hell.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
There's 9 rings of hell. We'll get into all that in a little bit.
Yeah.
This is a very dark movie.
Yes.
Thematically, but also visually.
Yeah.
It's raining all the time. I think there's only sunlight in like one scene. And obviously it's one of those things where they're... Now, the thing about... And I say this. It's raining, quote unquote.
It's a very
raining.
desaturated film.
Right. But there's this one scene where there's a couple of scenes where it's quote unquote raining. They're obviously using a rain machine and you can see sunlight, but it doesn't feel out of place like a lot of times when you see that, because the way that it's shot and the time of day that it's shot at, you can see that kind of stuff happen. I have seen that before, where it's like, no, I get this. This is a late afternoon, the sun's starting to go down and there's rain, but the sun is down below the clouds. The clouds, and it makes perfect sense, But yeah, just the fact that it's just visually dark on top of it. And then it's shot, and the interiors are all shot very dark. Even Somerset and Mills' homes are shot in shadow.
The fact that, Mills' house is not. Mills' house is more bright.
It's bright. It's brighter, but it's not.
But the fact that
it's still very soft light. Let's put it that way.
It's warm, soft light.
Yes.
And the fact that the electricity is out at a lot of these locations is actually part of the storyline.
And they have they're using light, and they're using flashlights.
The apartment contrast between Somerset and Mills.
And there's that also.
Mills is it's yellows and whites and kind of bright, and it's cluttered from where they just moved in. And
and they've got the dogs, and they've got
the dogs, and they've got the train that shakes the entire apartment every time it goes back. And then you've got Somerset, and everything is in its place, and every place has a thing, and it's very clean, and he's very methodical, and and it's all like grays and blues and
the methodical.
Yeah.
One of the things that that there is a lot of that in his life is that he has a metronome sitting by his bedside.
Yeah.
And that, you being a drummer, you have a lot more metronome work than I've ever done. But it's also one of those things with that when the first time, because there's a shot of it on the bed when he's laying there the first time he's in his
bedside table,
by the bedside, the nightstand, and when he reaches over and hits it,
you also hear all the city noise, around.
But when he reaches over and hits it,
right,
and it starts going, you're getting the
tick,
tock,
tick,
tick, tick, tick,
tick.
I get
tick.
that. There is a reason that, and we can go in. There's a reason for that. Because it's something to focus on.
Well, it was more than that. Because if you really listen to it, once you've got all
everything else drowns out.
Well, no, it's more than that. Hang on, let me finish. If you really listen to the noise and all that in the background, once he starts the metronome, you can hear all the noise start to sync up to the metronome, and it almost becomes its own song and rhythm behind it. Everything syncs up, and then once it really locks in is when you hear the noise disappear.
Right. And what I was going to get to is that, I think we can get into some pop psychology here.
He was basically using self-hypnosis.
I was going to say, the psychology of hypnosis is a lot of times people who practice hypnotism will use a metronome because it is something for your brain to lock in on.
Yeah.
That again is methodical. It is very, it's very, this is very sharp. This is very, and it's one of those things that once your brain locks in on it, it puts everything else out of the way. And I understand that. I understand that completely.
But up into that point, you can almost see how he's almost got a laser focus attention on the rhythm of the city.
Yeah,
because
I get that.
Cities have a rhythm to them.
Oh, absolutely.
And that rhythm changes from time to time.
And when it becomes chaotic, everything goes crazy.
When everything becomes chaotic, you get the movie like The Joker.
Yeah, in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
That's I found that was a nice little detail, I thought, with metronome. I was like, okay, that's... Fincher is wonderful at detail.
Well, there's a callback to that later in the book.
Yes. I read an article years ago about stuff you didn't know about movies.
Yeah.
Like details that were put in the movies that no one really knows about. But it's there.
It's there for the writer, the director, and the actors.
Right. When they finally make it to John Doe's apartment, and he's sitting there and he's reading his notebooks, and he says, there's 1,000 of them here, that they're all 200 pages, and they're front and back, blah, blah, blah. The set designer and Fincher got together, and they actually went in, and every single one of those notebooks that are in there are written in.
Really?
Every single one of them. Now, there may not be 1,000 of them there. That's mood, but all of them that you see there, you could pick up any single one of them, and there is a diary written in John Doe's voice in all of them.
Wow.
And again, that's stuff that you don't know. You wouldn't know that unless somebody says that it's there. There's a whole bunch of that stuff in all of Fincher's movies that he's just like very meticulous about the detail of. Just in case somebody wandered in here and was like, oh, this is a movie prop. I'm like, oh, crap. No, this is the real deal, type stuff.
Yeah.
So, once we get to the first gluttony.
Yeah.
And, again, that's the whole... Again, you have Mills, who is very gung-ho, and he meets Somerset.
Yeah.
And he's standing there waiting for him in the rain. He's got coffee, one for each of them. He's like, yeah. And then Somerset doesn't even want the coffee. He puts the one down, and then they're going up to the place.
Well, no, he carries them both up.
No, he sets the one down on the Somerset's. He sets down on the stairs, like on the side of the stairs when they go up the stairs to go to the. Yes, he does. Off the street, there's a little walk up off the street. There's like 3 or 4 stairs.
But then he gets in the
No, that was his.
Was it?
Yes. If you watch, when he gets out, Somerset, he's like, hey, I brought coffee, and Somerset kind of blows it off or whatever. When they're going up the walkway stairs to go to the apartment, you see Mills set it down right there on the stairs. And he walks up, he's got his coffee, and he takes a couple of whatever, and then he gets in an argument with the beat cop, or, he's like asking the question, whatever. And then when they get ready to go in, he hands him that coffee. And I noted that was another detail that I noticed in this. I got a little too into a lot of the background details and had to rewind a couple of times of like my OCD or neurosis when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah, this movie just like I could get lost in this world, and I know it would be a good place to get lost in, but it's
too late.
But yeah, and then they go in, and of course, they're like. That argument that Mills has with the cop, when he's like, "Oh, did you check his pulse? Did you do this?" He's like, "Look, he's face down in spaghetti. Unless he can breathe marinara, he's not alive." I mean, it's kind of one of those things. When they get inside, and like Somerset is like, "Where was that conversation? Why do you think that conversation was important? Like, why were you asking those questions?" It was like, and again, that goes back to Somerset has this idea of. But these are the important things we need to focus on, and all this other stuff is just background noise.
But Mills also makes a comment. He goes, how many times I've walked in and the dead body's not dead?"
There is that also. Yeah, I get that.
Which is going to get a callback.
It is going to get a callback. And that's the other thing. It's all that little detail.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it's one of those things that if you thrive on minutia, this movie could take you years to dissect.
Like how many dead guys aren't actually dead because nobody bothered to check on them?
Right. And then,
we'll get to there.
We get into, and this is where the story starts.
This guy, this fat guy.
Yes, he was fed to death. Yes.
Spaghetti.
And
not just fed to death. They find out later on that the guy who killed him went back to the store to buy more noodles and sauce.
Said there were 2 receipts, which means he left and got more and came back.
Yeah.
And which, again, plays a little later of the patience that this guy has. And, of course, they're going through all of it, and the coroner is telling them basically that he ate himself to death. His stomach exploded is basically what happened. He's talking about the striations on his, on his body and all this kind of stuff. And
then they end up in Lee Army.
Now, well, here's the thing. Yeah, and that's the thing. Somerset knows this is the beginning of something. Yeah. He doesn't know what it is. Yeah. But he knows that this is the beginning of something, but nobody else wants to believe it. They're like, "Oh no, this is a
one-off,
whatever."
Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah. And then
they get into the police chief's office, and he's telling
him all this.
He's like, I do not want this case.
Right.
I only have 7 days left.
Right. He's like, this can't be my last case.
Yeah. And he goes, and honestly, this should not be his first.
Right. And then you get that tension between the two of them.
Yeah.
And especially, by the way, all this plays out before it's over. Somerset knew he's not ready for this type of investigation. I think Somerset, it's kind of unspoken. He knows that Mills is a good detective.
Yeah.
But he's just not ready for this.
Very unseasoned.
Yeah, he's not ready for this. Green. This right here is something that he's not ready for. Because Somerset understands in all of his years of experience, he's not exactly ready for this either.
Yeah.
And that, as it progresses, and the next one is greed. And again, this is something that Mills is working. Somerset, again, being taken off the case.
Well, Mills was taken off the case.
Well, but
Ermey looked at him and said, "No, you're not on this case anymore.
Right.
I'm putting you on something else."
Right, but they, not knowing that these two things were related, gets put on the case for the defense attorney who was killed in his office, and greed was written on the,
and he had to cut a pound of his own flesh.
We find that out, which again that comes in later of what happened there, but they had written greed in his blood and so now it's a. Well, actually, they didn't know just yet. It was one of the same things they talk
because what happens is when they're back,
the pathologist comes back
with these. Well, he had these 3 pieces of plastic in the stomach from the guy who ate himself.
And he was
death.
like, "No, they were fed to him."
Yeah,
and he said, "What?" And he was like, "Huh,
that's weird." And so Somerset goes back to the first site,
and he's looking around. And he figures out that
it's 3 cuts
linoleum.
He's 3 cuts out of the linoleum floor.
Right.
which leads him to find that the refrigerator has been moved.
Right, so he moves it, and behind it, gluttony is written on the wall, and there is a piece of paper that's stuck to the wall that is quoting, which one was this? Was this Chaucer?
I think it was Milton.
Yeah, it was Milton. It's right, because it's talking about, it is. It's from Paradise Lost.
Yeah.
And when he's presented with this other thing, he's like, these are related.
Yeah.
There are 7 deadly sins, and he goes through and names them all. And he's like, look, we've got gluttony, we've got greed.
He sees that.
Right.
He can't sleep. He goes to the library.
Right.
And starts pulling everything that he's obviously a very read, very educated dude.
And also the thing about it is that he's talking to the security guards who were there.
Right.
And they're up there playing poker. They're like, it should be pretty quiet tonight. We're just up here playing poker. And he says something to them like, I don't understand that. You're surrounded by all of this wisdom, and you'd rather sit up there and play poker. Or not all this wisdom. All of this, what's the word I'm looking for?
Knowledge.
No. Culture. You're right. You're all this culture, and you would rather play up there. And then the one guy goes over and says, "You want culture? Here's culture." And he starts playing Bach's Suite Number 3 from the Air.
Yeah.
And which I love, is one. Watching this movie again. For those of you listening, you've heard me a lot over the last 5 years just be a complete goofball. But I will not say that I'm necessarily cultured, but I have been exposed to pretty much everything that was in this movie that is culturally relative, or relatable.
Well, it's called classical education.
It is. It's like, and it was one of those things you're going through, and it's like, when they start compiling the books and everything, it's like, yes, I have read Milton's Paradise Lost. I have read Dante's Inferno. I have read the Divine Comedy. I have read Chaucer's Canterbury Tales.
Yeah.
And some of it, as well as several other books that are at least that are dropped here and there. And it's not for like, oh, look what I've done. A lot of it had to do with the fact that it was stuff we had to read in school.
Yeah.
And I wound up really enjoying a lot of it.
So you end up going and finding
other stuff.
Yeah.
And so it was like,
Oh, it's the same with me. It's how I ended up with Shakespeare. It's how I
exactly, you know, and that's and there was there was the whole with the greed. You know, it was like, yeah, you know, he had to. There was a scale, and you know, and they show the picture, whatever. And he's like, yeah, he had to cut his own. And it's like I was like, no, that's Merchant of Venice.
Yeah,
that is Shakespeare. That's the whole pound of flesh, but no blood. No blood. Was it no blood, no cartilage? No, it
was no bone, no cartilage. No more, no less.
No more or less. Exactly. It's like I knew that quote immediately. It's like, no, it's Merchant of Venice. You know,
and the classical music stuff we picked up because we had to take music appreciation
stuff. I know.
I took piano as a kid, so I got introduced to that. Mom played piano, so she would play a lot of this stuff.
And there was a lot of that especially a lot of the classical stuff that.
I admit I'm more of a Beethoven guy, but the Bach stuff is nice too.
Here's the real music nerd. I really do lean more towards the Baroque stuff.
Okay.
And that's Bach. You know, that's that, you know, and that I'm not exclusive to it. You know, I do like some of the stuff from the Romantic and, you know, as well. But I just have a tendency to lean towards that earlier.
I get it.
You know, especially Bach. I mean, he's been, and again, that piece that they're playing, that Suite Number 3, has been ripped off multiple times over the years. Marvin Gaye used it, and then also Procol Harum, ripped it off for Wider Shade of Pale.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like no, they lifted it straight up, and Billy Joel has ripped off Bach so many times, and especially Beethoven, but Bach even in some of his stuff where it's like no, that is note for note the exact same stuff.
It goes back to that old adage that good artists borrow,
geniuses steal.
Geniuses steal.
Yeah, I know.
Ozzy Osbourne. That's who said it.
That's not who said it originally. That has been said so many times over the years by different people. It's not. I mean,
yeah, but I like quoting it.
Yeah, I mean, what's his name?
It's kind of like that. Don't believe anything on the internet.
Yeah,
Abraham Lincoln.
But what's his name? Famously said that. Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Famously said that over several times over the years. But he got it from somebody else. That has just been a thing over and over again. And. But yeah, just kind of that.
But he's going through the stacks.
He's going through all of it. I know.
He's digging through. And he's putting it together, and he is basically in a public library profiling this guy.
Mm-hmm. And then he goes the next day, and that's when he gives the whole speech about their 7 deadly sins or blah blah blah. And he writes a whole list of stuff for Mills to read. Now the thing I love about Mills is he's trying to read Dante. And he just goes, it's written as a poem. For those, I'm sure everybody listening to this has probably read at least part of Dante's Inferno and the way that it's written in stanzas like poetry and everything. It gets a bit confusing. Plus, it's the Old English.
So he sends a beat cop out to get
all the Cliff Notes. And I was like, Cliff Notes is one of the greatest things there because later, whenever they're talking, and he mentions Shakespeare or
Dante,
or he mentions Dante. So he's like, "Oh, you read it?" And he's like, "Well, parts of it." It's like, yeah, no, that's exactly what. Or
maybe it was Chaucer.
It was Chaucer. It was Chaucer. Yeah, he mentions Chaucer.
Parts of it.
Yeah, parts of it. Which Chaucer's not an easy read.
No,
it's long and detailed
and filthy
Absolutely, especially if you know the language of what they're actually saying,
which is what makes Big Bang Theory so
I know
funny.
when she does the whole. I know
Amy Farrah Fowler is doing
I know. She's like going through all the Chaucer, and it's like, okay, I know what she's saying. Most people watching this don't know what she's saying, and they have no idea just how dirty this really is.
Yeah, the censors had no idea.
It's kind of like when Joss Whedon snuck in the Avengers.
Chinese.
No.
Oh no!
When he calls Black Widow, you mewling Quim.
Yeah,
that is extremely dirty,
graphic,
and very offensive.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, wow, yeah, okay. You say what you will about Joss Whedon, he's good at sneaking that kind of stuff.
He did it all the time in Firefly because all of the
all the Chinese stuff in there. I know
is all cuss words and filth
stuff
and
that he snuck
else.
into Buffy. It just, Anyway, that's a whole other subject.
He hands us all the stuff to Mills. Mills gets frustrated. He gets the Cliff Notes,
which I don't blame him for doing that in the slightest.
Yeah. So. And is it at that point that Tracy invites Williams to
or Somerset?
Somerset
invites him to dinner. Yeah, because they're sitting in the office.
Yeah.
Remember, because he comes in and he takes all the Cliff Notes out and looks and puts them in the drawer.
He's basically getting Somerset's office. They're scraping Somerset's name off the door and starting to put his up.
But I thought that was funny how Somerset gets up from the desk and goes to the other desk.
Yeah,
and then when Mills comes in, his back's turned. He's putting all the Cliff Notes in the desk. Yeah, and then she calls and then wants to talk to Somerset and then invites him to dinner. And
she's obviously trying to help because she's been listening to Mills complain about him and the tension and all that.
Right.
So.
And
then the music that's playing, it's obvious that Mills is his own kind of cultured guy because he's got all this jazz playing in the background.
But
it's like Coltrane
But wasn't it Marvin Gaye that was playing?
There was some Marvin Gaye.
I think when they came in, I think it was Marvin Gaye, if I'm not mistaken. The music in this is the stuff that you hear in the background of all this is just amazing. I watched it all the way through the credits to try to find to get some of the music. But what was funny is that the way the credits ran, they ran from top to bottom rather than bottom to top.
They didn't let you have a comforting thing.
No, and so it was one of those things whenever
kept you off balance.
And the way that it was cut and paste, it looked like it would be cut out and just put was I was like, wait, no, there goes on. I can't read this. What's going on? I like the way they did a lot of that.
Let me see if I can't find the original soundtrack.
Yeah, I'm sure it might all be on there. So
Okay, so you had
they're having a conversation. Okay.
you had some Billie Holiday.
Yes. Oh, yes. Billie Holiday.
You had Charlie Parker.
Yes.
You had Thelonious Monk. Yeah. But you also had Statler Brothers in this movie.
Really?
Yeah, you had Gravity Kills in this movie.
Yeah, that didn't surprise me.
Marvin Gaye, we already mentioned.
Yeah.
Gloria Lynn was Speaking of Happiness. You've already mentioned Air. The band Haircut 100 with Love Plus One.
Okay.
And then the rest of it's just soundtrack stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it's score. I really like the music in this.
I mean, Thelonious Monk, Billie Holiday, Marvin Gaye. This is all the stuff that's at
as much as I have talked about classical music and different like stuff. Jazz is one of those things that I can either take it or leave it. It really depends. And I'll tell you, and I think I've said this on here before, but I'm going to say it again just for emphasis. I don't like being beat over the head with music and told that I have to like it.
I can get that.
And that's what a lot of jazz comes off to for me. And it's not even just the music itself. It's usually the fans. The people who are like really into jazz will just like beat you over the head of like, no, jazz is so great. Jazz is so great. It's like, yeah, well, screw you. Okay. If I have to be beat over the head with something, I know. So
jazz is one of those things that you really have to listen to, and it either speaks to you or it doesn't.
It obviously
one way or
does
the other.
Not me. So that's.
There's certain albums that I just absolutely love, and then there's some that I listen to, and some days I love it, and some days I'm like, I cannot take this. Of course, I also listen to a lot of big band. I like the old
big band.
The
that's
old
a whole
school
different thing.
Big band stuff.
Big band is a whole different animal, and I'm so with that. Anyway, before we get off on our
they're at the apartment. They're eating dinner.
They're discussing all
and they're
of
starting
it,
to finally find some common ground, and
then they go back because they're looking at the photos, and the
Tracy's not feeling well. Goes back and lays down, and when she wakes up, they're gone.
Right,
and they're back at the library.
No, they are at the second crime scene.
Oh, you're right.
No. They are going to talk to the wife of the defense attorney.
That's
because she was in protective custody.
Right.
And they're asking if anything's out of place.
Right.
And they're showing her all because Somerset had seen the picture of his wife that was on the that
had the blood drawn around
her eyes, and he was like, well, maybe it's something that she saw something, or maybe she hasn't know she's seen
she
it
needs
yet.
to see something.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're showing the pictures from the crime scene, and she notices that there was a painting that was upside down.
Right.
So that's when they go to the crime scene and they pull the painting down and they start looking at the painting, but it's not the painting.
They realize that the painting had, he actually took the paper off the back of the painting, pulled the screws out,
put it back in. They take the paper off. There's nothing there.
Repapered it.
But they get up and they start looking and they realize
Somerset does.
Somerset gets up.
Mills is hacked off.
I know. Somerset gets up and realizes that on the wall there's something going on. So he gets the fingerprint dust.
Yeah.
And starts finding something written on.
And he immediately goes call forensics.
Right, and they dust it basically, and they come in and everything, and it says,
"Help me."
No.
Yes, it does. It says, "Help me," and it's written.
Oh, that's right. It does. It says, "Help me," and it's right, but it was written in fingerprints.
Right.
That's right. So they run the prints.
Yep.
And it's brilliant how all this stuff, like, it's so detailed. They run the prints, and of course they say it could take up to 3 days.
Yeah.
So they run them and everything, and they finally get a vet, and it's from someone who was arrested for
drug dealing,
and he was arrested. He was one of the DA's clients that was arrested for trying to assault a minor.
Right. I remember that now.
And but he had gotten this person off.
The DA,
not the DA, but the defense attorney. Had gotten this guy off, and so they get the SWAT. They go to his house, and then they go in. They're going through the rooms, and
they find the corpse.
Yes, completely emaciated.
Bed sores.
Yeah,
I mean he's bone and flesh.
Yeah, I literally, and Mills finds a sack of pictures.
Yeah.
And they're all dated.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, this one was just from like yesterday. And they go all, and Somerset's looking at him and goes like, yeah, it goes all the way back 1 year to today.
Yeah.
And so that's again goes to whenever Somerset later says this guy is patient.
Yeah.
He has patience.
He's leading us where he wants us to go. He's patient. He's methodical. He's planning.
Right. And was it Sloth that's written on the wall above him?
Yeah.
And
the SWAT guy is like freaking out. And they get down there, and he actually leans down to the corpse and whispers in the corpse's ear, "You got what you deserve."
And then
jumps. The corpse takes a huge breath.
Yes.
This guy is alive.
This leads to one of my favorite lines in this movie.
Okay.
When they're at the hospital and they're talking to the doctor, and he's kind of running down. He's like, yeah, he was kept alive. He was basically they had sedated him for a year. He shot him with drugs and and all this kind of stuff and got him to all this blah blah blah. And he's talking about how like his brain is complete mush. His insides are he can't eat or drink anything. It'll kill him to eat anything or drink anything. Of course, he'll die. He's going to die of starvation anyway. All this kind of stuff. And he's like, he's been through all of this, and he still has hell awaiting him, or he still has hell to look forward to. Is what he says. It's like that's a dark line right there, because he's a pedophile. It's the whole thing. Is it's like and it's just. Talk about a dark, an even darker part to a dark movie.
The other thing that you forgot to mention is they were talking about the bed sores.
Oh yeah,
and he was covered in bed sores, but none of them were infected.
None.
So I know John Doe was giving him antibiotics.
Yes,
just enough antibiotics to keep the bed sores from getting infected and
for a year,
speeding up the process
for a year.
Yeah,
and it's so diabolical is what it is. It's just,
he was like a stiff breeze could kill him.
And then, the next one is the, Vanity point, is the next one.
Well, no, they have, you're forgetting now that he goes to his FBI.
Oh yeah. That's right. And that's what, and this is interesting. Yep. Okay. 1995.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, they take all. He's like, this guy has obviously read all of this stuff.
Yeah,
and so he goes to an FBI source,
highly religious,
right?
Very well read,
right? So they go to an
individual.
They go to this FBI source. They basically give
Somerset.
Him a list. Somerset says, gives him money, gives him this list of literature, and basically has him cross-reference everyone who has checked out these books,
because evidently the FBI has certain books that are red flagged, and if you check these books out, it automatically red flags you and puts you on a list with the FBI to be able to cross reference.
Do you know what one of the biggest books on that list was for the longest time? Probably still is.
Anarchist Cookbook.
Nope.
Really?
That one's on there, but that's kind of outside of the Mein Kampf is one of them they mention in the thing, but one of them that they didn't mention in this movie.
Okay,
it's actually blaring. You should read. You should know this.
1984. Fahrenheit 4.
Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye, really? Mm-hmm. You check Catcher in the Rye out, you end up on the list.
You know why?
No.
Both John Hinckley and John David Chapman, John David Chapman.
So
big fans of that book.
So even if you go to a bookstore and buy this book.
Well, did you ever see the movie Conspiracy Theory?
Yeah.
With Mel Gibson. You remember that was the whole thing that they had. One of the things that they had basically MK Ultra'd into him was that he had to go and buy a copy of Catcher in the Rye. Because remember the guy, he's checking it, he's buying it, and the guy says, "Oh, that's such a great book." He's like, "Yeah, I've never read it." But he owns like hundreds of copies of it because that's the way that the FBI is keeping tabs on him. Every time that they see that it's purchased, they can say, "Okay, he's been over here." Do
you know how many recommended reading lists and summer reading lists for?
I love that book.
High school.
I love that book. And I mean, it's and
so they basically have put the entire United States on the list.
A lot of it, yeah. So.
Wow.
That was something to help you sleep at night.
I knew our government was diabolical.
We talk about this day and time with technology of, basically living in a surveillance state, which we have been for a long time, especially since the internet took off.
Yeah.
It predates it.
Yeah.
It goes back even to basically to the Dewey Decimal System and all that kind of stuff. This is stuff that's been going on for decades.
Wow.
J. Edgar Hoover. Gotta love him. So it's
No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, so they get a list of names back.
This was Conspiracy Corner with Dave and Alan. You know the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth? About 6 months.
That spin cycle's gotten a little shorter, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
So they get the list.
Well, used to it was about 2 decades.
Yeah.
And we've seen the last few years it got down to 6 months and it's getting even shorter now. So
yeah. So they get the list of names back and they figure out, this is a name of a guy we need to go talk to. Mm-hmm. So they go to his apartment and they knock on the door. Mm-hmm. And Mills sees somebody coming up the stairs and he stops and is looking at them.
Groceries.
Yeah.
And he just stops. He's like, hey, you. And then the guy pops off a couple shots. Now, it's not the first time we saw John Doe.
No, it's not. We saw him at, where was the staircase?
It was the...
that was Sloth. We saw him at Sloth.
Right. He came up the back way. He's taking pictures of. He's a reporter, quote unquote. And but we don't realize that until later. Like when they go into his apartment later, Mills, they find the pictures that were taken.
Mills smacks the camera out of his hand.
Right.
And tells him to get lost. I mean, he physically assaults the guy.
Right.
Which I think is what set him off.
I love the way that scene and all of this being at his apartment, John Doe's apartment, and then the chase, all the way down to the to its finale of how you never see
the guy's
his face whatsoever. Now, here's something really interesting. This is my own theory.
Okay.
I think John Doe was Kaiser Sose.
Okay. You're going to have to explain your theory.
Well, obviously it's the same actor that played him, between the usual suspects in this. But if you notice, when, of course, Kaiser Sose is he's a brilliant psychopath.
Yeah.
He's what, but when he's chasing him, okay, and he goes through the train station, you remember he jumps, so you see him you see him when he's moving through the train station, he's walking with a limp.
Okay.
Like he's same way like Kaiser Sose walked until come to find out he didn't have a limp, Yeah. That's my own just little whatever. I noticed that I was like, oh, I bet that's probably an Easter egg.
So this was fan theory without.
Oh, absolutely fan theory.
Can we move on?
Because the thing is, Kaiser Sose got away at the end. We don't know what happened to him.
Well, we know what happened to him if a
few years later, he shows up. So anyway, so it's one of those. He goes chasing after him, and they're running out. They were coming down after a lengthy chase. They're outside going down fire escapes, and they're going down an alleyway, and John Doe gets a drop on Mills.
Yeah, hits him with a tire
iron, and he's standing over him with a gun up to his
Well, he's
head.
standing over him with Mills' gun.
Was it Mills' gun?
It was Mills'
I know
gun.
Mills dropped his gun when he got hit, but I thought it was the gun that...
I'm pretty sure it was Mills' gun that he picked up out of a puddle where it fell.
Did he?
And was holding
I think it was the gun that he already had.
I don't know. I could be wrong.
Because the thing is that whenever Somerset comes, Mills has got his gun.
No, he had to.
Yes, no, he's got his gun again. And he reached after. Okay, look, when John Doe runs, like when Somerset yells, and he's standing there and he's got the gun against Mills' head, and Mills just says no, and then you hear Somerset yell.
Yeah.
And then John Doe runs away, which he took the gun with him. And then Mills falls to the ground.
Yeah.
And Somerset comes running up, and you see as he's starting to get up from, he's like kind of leaning up against the wall and starts turning around. He's got his gun back in his hand.
You might be right.
Now, I saw that plainly this time. It's like, oh, he picked the gun up out of the, and then they're getting patched up over there. And then they go back to the apartment. They can't go in because they don't have probable cause to be there.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. Which, of course, Mills, being a hothead, kicks the door in. So now
after a lengthy argument about we don't have a warrant,
right?
We're
going to have to explain why we were here to begin with.
Yeah, we don't have any reasonable explanation as to why we're even wanting to talk to this guy because we went around the system.
And then him letting his emotions get away from him, he kicks the door in, and
he pays a crackhead.
Well, I was going to say
to lie about it
because in the grand tradition of things that cops never do, they go and they give money to somebody to say
Somerset doesn't want anything to do with it. It's
but Mills was like, how much money do we have? And then he's standing there and basically coaching this person through the report. Knew, after all these murders, I noticed this guy was being really weird, so I called them and just kind of. And it's funny because like the cop who's taking the report is not buying any of it whatsoever. Yeah. He's just like, yeah, whatever. You just And matter of fact, Mills hands the money off to the crackhead
in front of the cop.
Right in front of the cop. Like, oh yeah, here you go. Have a good day. It just
which is why it makes me think it's Chicago even more.
Yeah, I know. Hey, that makes perfect sense. So they go in and of course they go in with and they start looking. They're like, yeah, get forensics up here now.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out there's all these diaries and he's got the and it's something I caught this time that for some reason I didn't catch before.
Okay.
He's got souvenirs from each of the murders.
Oh, you didn't?
I
caught that the first time I watched it.
There's a spaghetti can.
He has them all shadow boxed.
Yes, I know. There's a spaghetti can, and then there's
it was 4. They were stacked on top of each other.
Well, no, there's a spaghetti can, and then next to it is a what was it from the Greed? It was one of the books that he was laying on that he bled on. For it was one of his law books, and then he had the hand from Sloth.
Yeah,
because that was the other thing we left out. He had cut off that guy's hand
to be able to do the help
me and his
fingerprints.
The fingerprints.
Yeah.
So and it's like whacked out stuff here, man. This is crazy. He's got.
But then they come across a souvenir that they don't have a murder for yet.
Yeah, what was I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember what it was, but there was a box that had stuff in it, and they're like, "What's this? There's only like 3 so far. What is this? Why?"
Oh, I remember what it was. I think it was a receipt, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a receipt for a leather shop because the guy was making the apparatus for lust. He basically and they go down and they're like, yeah, this guy, he bought
because
this.
I figured he was a performance artist.
Yeah, and he gives them a photo of what and it's basically a strap on that's blades.
Yeah,
is what it is, and then they get the call.
Yeah,
that there's been a murder. And
while they're in the shop.
And I love the little detail I love here is that they go to leave. And the guy that created, he was like, "Hey, I want my picture back."
The one thing you forgot to mention was while they were in John Doe's apartment, they start hearing a phone ring.
Oh yeah,
and
they called. That's right.
They have to go around searching for the phone. They finally find the phone.
Right.
John Doe talks to Mills. Right. Somerset's got the
little handheld
recorder up to the. He was like, "Well, this little setback has forced me to up my timeline."
Right.
He goes,
right.
"This is going to happen very fast now. I hope you guys can keep up."
Yes, that is true. I forgot about the phone call, and the fact that like the phone was hidden basically. It was
under a stack of clothes.
And inside of a drawer.
Yeah.
Remember he like opened the drawer and they pulled out. I was like, oh yeah, because he's like Mills is telling everybody be quiet. He's trying to find out where the phone where the ring is coming from.
Yeah.
And then I think that was also another thing that Somerset handed off. He's like, I have this. This is his voice. Have it, run through the system or whatever. Which again, you think about 1995, them having that kind of stuff. But I guess they kind of would. I mean, it wasn't the dawn of the internet, but it was definitely the dawn of the internet being used in that way.
Yeah.
We weren't quite to anywhere near where we are now. I'm sure in an official capacity, it was being used much differently.
Yeah.
So,
and then you get Vanity. They get called for another murder.
Well, did we do Lust first?
Oh,
was Lust first or was Vanity first?
I don't remember.
Because they happen like really.
Yeah, because everything speeds up. I think it was Lust.
I think it was Lust because they go in and the guy is still in there that he forced to basically. No. Yeah,
was it Lust or was it Vanity? Yeah, it was Lust.
It was Lust, yeah, because that was the whole deal with the strap on.
Yeah,
and
the guy was still in there. It just happened.
Basically, forced him to.
He put a gun in his mouth and forced him to rape a prostitute with this bladed phallus.
That's what it was. There was a photo of her.
Yeah.
That's what
it was.
But there was also the receipt.
Yeah.
And so it was like, who is this? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and that was that whole deal. And the interrogation there where they're talking to the guy.
And it's back. You can see both rooms. There's two recorders going. You can see.
Yeah, because that was what's his name?
Michael Massey.
Massey, yeah. Because, and I love the question that Mills asked him. He's like, do you like what you do? He's like, no. It's just, no, I don't, you know? But yeah, and then the other guy's just like losing his. I mean, he's like in shock. I mean, just like he's losing his freaking mind over everything he's just gone through.
Yeah,
and
that I read something. That actor purposely stayed up for 2 days solid. Wow. Did not sleep for 48 hours. And something happened. And they had to push that scene back. So he stayed up for an additional 24 hours. He had not slept in 3 days. And in between takes, he was purposely hyperventilating to keep that energy up.
See, that is someone who has stayed up for 3 or 4 days, almost 4 days one time before. But I just can't even imagine doing that on purpose.
He did that on purpose to keep that manic.
Well, he got it. He gave a very good performance here. It's funny because that actor, the only thing I knew him from prior to or around this time, I guess it was. Do you remember the television show Caroline in the City with Leah Thompson?
Yeah,
where she was a cartoonist. Okay, there was a character. This guy played a character on there who was he was a delivery guy, and like he was always on rollerblades, and he was always kind of like that quirky character you get on 180 degrees from this one whatsoever. And I've seen him in other stuff since then, but at the time I was like, dude, that's that guy from Carolina in the City. That's crazy.
Yeah. And then you get Vanity,
which. This one, of all of them, was maybe the most, no pun intended, on the nose.
Yeah, because they walk
death
in
of them all.
And she has a bottle of sleeping pills glued to her hand in one hand, the phone glued to her other hand, and her complete head is totally bandaged up.
And her nose is missing.
And when they unwrap her head, her nose has been cut off.
It's
to spite her
face, you know.
And was given the choice, you can either call for help and live, or you can take all the sleeping pills and end it. You know, you can either survive and be scarred for the rest of your life, or you can end it now. And
she chose to end it all. She would rather die than have a mutilated face, basically, for the rest of her life. Again, Vanity. Man, that's a...
And it's when they've left that crime scene and gone back to the police station to kind of
Right. They're walking in. And it's fun. I love the way this is shot again.
Yeah.
You see them go in to the police station, and then a cab pulls up right in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And then you see the back door open. All you're seeing is like the bottom part of the door.
Basically, the calves and the feet.
And you see him get out, and then the cab pull off, and he starts walking. And
he walks into the police station completely covered in blood, and nobody there is noticing.
Which is... And I love how he's like, detective. And he's really soft-spoken to be a detective. And then he finally screams.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and sees this guy covered in blood. Of course, everybody starts pulling out guns. Yeah. It's just like... and he just gets down on the ground. He's like, okay, you know, and it's one of those things. He came and turned himself in.
Yeah.
The most telling thing here. Oh, we did leave out one very important scene.
What did we leave
somewhere in the middle when Tracy called Mills or Somerset.
Oh, right.
Because she's found out that she's pregnant.
Right.
And she doesn't know what to do because she
hates
it
the
there.
City.
Yeah, she don't want to be there. And they have a conversation about options. And Somerset tells her that he was involved with someone once who got pregnant and decided not to have the baby. And he says, and he tells Tracy, says, I don't regret my decision at all, or just regret the decision at all, but I think about it every day. It's kind of one of those, we won't get into the politics of it all, but it's one of those things people really don't talk about a whole lot when it comes to that issue. And what he tells her is that, if you decide not to, that's your choice. But if you do have this baby, spoil it every chance you get, which was a wonderful way, whatever. Of course, she breaks down,
Yeah.
But he also told her, he said, if you choose not to have the baby, don't ever tell him. But if you do, spoil it every chance that you get. That's what it was. And then that plays in later because they find that he has there's 3 blood types on him. It's his, it's the vanity woman's,
and then one they
can't identify whatsoever. And he's saying that he gets his lawyer to tell them that he will confess to everything.
Written confession.
Complete right now.
Confession.
But Mills and Somerset have to go with him to the
final 2.
To the final 2, basically. And say, but if they don't agree to do it right now, then they'll never find the final 2. And
they agree to it.
And of course they're
chained.
And
they have full SWAT team following them around.
And they've got helicopters and up in the air and of course they're mic'd. They're wearing wires.
You have the scene where they're actually in the
shaving
locker room,
shaving their chest to have them. It's and I love that. He's like, you think. What is it he says? He says...
so you think I shave a nipple off, it's workman's comp?
Workman's comp, yeah.
And Somerset stops and thinks about it for a minute, and he goes, I reckon it would be.
It probably would be.
They start laughing.
But the conversation that they have in the car...
Yeah.
Because Mills is...
trying to profile... Well...
No,
Somerset is trying to profile him.
Right. He's being very silent, but Mills is goading him. He's goading. He's provoking him. Yeah. He is very much...
trying to get him to make a mistake.
And he asks that... He's like, let me ask you a question. For people who are completely insane like you, do you know you're insane, or do you think that you're okay? Type of stuff. And John Doe is trying to say, don't be flippant about this.
Yeah.
Like this, this is not... You're not going to provoke me, But when he finally does kind of break a little bit and he starts detailing his thought pattern.
Yeah.
I remember I was 21 when this movie came out, sitting in the theater and listening to John Doe and being like, he's got a kind of point here.
Okay. I knew I was worried about you for a reason.
And even rewatching it now, I was like, kind of got a point, of like, it's kind of like, I look back now on The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And, it's one of those things like, oh, it's Batman, it's blah, 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 blah. But as time has gone on, I'm like, the Joker was kind of right. This is...
No, he was right about a lot of things.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, I don't like that I'm agreeing with a psychopath, but he's not wrong. It's like, and it's the same thing with John Doe, where it's like, I don't like agreeing with this guy, but he's not wrong on several points here. And even Kevin Spacey
Well, he plays a psychopath so well because he is one.
He is so good for the little amount of screen time that he has.
Yeah.
Because he really, until he walks into that police station, we never see his face.
Yep.
And it's whoa, this guy.
Well, immediately when he walked in, I forgot it was Spacey at first, and he walks in. I was like, that's a really young Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, but it's just one of those like, whoa, this the acting here is just spectacular, you know?
Yeah.
And then the way all of this plays out when they finally get there and they're waiting where they're supposed to be, and then a vehicle pulls in. Somerset goes and stops him and everything. He's like, I've got a for David Mills, or I've got it for a Detective Mills, and he pulls out the box. I remember again sitting in the theater, and when he pulled that box up, we were like, what is going on here? What is that? And when Somerset opens that box, his reaction, it hit me immediately what it was. Of like, no, they're not doing this. This is not happening in this movie. And then it happened.
Yeah.
And again, if you have not seen...
At that point, John Doe is talking to David.
Right.
And talking him in the direction he wants him to go.
Exactly.
And he's no longer calling him detective.
He's calling him David.
David.
John Doe is down on the ground. Yeah. Mills is standing over top of him with a gun.
Yep.
Like telling him, hey, you stay here, don't move, all that kind of stuff. And he's trying to figure out what's going on because there's...
What's in the box?
Well, he doesn't know about the box yet.
Yeah.
That's the thing. He knows, or I guess he saw, whatever, but it's one of those things that Somerset realizes what's happening.
Oh,
like
it's not realization. He knows at this point what's happening.
Right. Well, that's the whole thing. He sees what's in the box.
Yeah.
And then says, you see that click. Oh my God. He's going to he's trying to get Mills to kill him.
Because the only two that are left are envy and wrath.
And John Doe is envy.
Yeah. Because
Mills
envied his life.
And Mills will become wrath.
Yeah.
And that is brilliant writing right there of how they did this.
And now Somerset's running back towards them,
right,
trying to get David to put the gun down.
He's yelling at him, put the gun down, and that's when he's like, "What's in the box? He's like,
what's in the box?"
Well, it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
To that part of what's in the box, he's just yelling like he's just really what's in the box, And as Somerset is getting closer, John Doe tells him
what's in the box.
He's like, I went and visited Tracy today. And, and he's
tried to live your life.
He's like, yeah. And then I realized that I couldn't. And she begged for her life and the life of her unborn child. And then he's like, oh, you didn't know. And Somerset's there by then.
He had just gotten it.
Yeah, he just got it. And he's like, what's in the box? He's doing that whole thing. And that's when he's like, oh, you didn't know. And it's one of those things that Mills is like, what's he talking about? And he looks at Somerset, and Somerset has that look of he's not lying. This is and we haven't said what was in the box. Okay, if you have not seen this movie, if you've made it this far, stop before we say what was in the box, because
I think it's pretty obvious what's in the box at this point.
Actually, it could be a couple of things at this point with all the information we've given.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that makes it even darker. So
I didn't even consider that.
Yeah,
why did you do that to me?
Just where my mind goes.
I did not even consider that. Why would you do that to
Why
me?
did you figure that out so quickly, okay?
Because I know how sick and twisted you are. Oh.
Now that would have really been a dark movie, okay?
What's in the box?
That would have really been a dark movie.
No, please don't know. Please tell me it's what I thought it was, not what you're suggesting.
Very Sharon Tate there, huh? It's
oh, what's in the box?
But yeah, so Tracy's head's in the box.
Are we sure about that at this point?
Well, that's what is implied.
Okay,
anyway.
good.
Okay,
good.
that is the
head is fine.
Yeah, that is the.
I can't believe I just said the head is fine. I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for.
Thank you for once again traumatizing me.
Just remember, folks, the 9:30 show is different than the 7:30 show. So.
Don't go to the 9:30 show. The 7:30 show is awful.
So, it's hard to laugh and then come back down to this real serious thing. So yeah, and that's when he's explaining, that I try to live and I'm envious of your life. Something I cannot have, and that's the whole Mills is going to become wrath and kill him. And of course, Somerset's saying, "Don't do it, don't do it."
He flat out tells him, he goes, "I guess I'm envy,
right?
And I'm hoping you'll become wrath,
right?" And then Somerset's like, "Put the gun down, put it down, put it down." You don't, of course. Mills is going through it. I mean, he's had the realization of what's in the box.
He's done the calculations.
And, of course, he's sitting there with a gun, and he's going through it all of that, and then he just pulls the trigger.
He empties the mag.
Well, he pulls the trigger once.
Yeah.
And I love the way this is shot because you're getting this back and forth between what they're hearing through, where they're basically up in the helicopter.
Yeah.
And you're getting the back and the forth of, like, stuff coming through the wires.
Yeah.
And so when he goes over, it's a straight on shot of Brad Pitt with the pistol. And he comes up, and then the very next shot is through the binoculars of the SWAT guy.
In the helicopter.
And you just see a mist of blood, and then John Doe falls over.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is so effective and brutal without being overly graphic.
Yeah.
And then Mills walks over and then unloads the magazine. Just keep shooting him while he's gone now.
And then he goes catatonic.
Yeah, and then it cuts and it's night. Now they're surrounding the scene, they're doing that kind of stuff. And
Mills is catatonic in the back of a police car,
and Somerset's standing there, and they're gonna and the captain
Ernie
walks up, and he's like, we'll take care of him, we'll get
Somerset
him help.
says whatever he needs,
and then the captain asks him,
he goes, where are you going to be?
Like, I'll be around.
I'll be around.
So we don't know if he's actually going to retire or if he's leaving the force or if he.
I think that was probably the straw that broke Somerset.
Okay.
He was talking about getting a farm.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which once again says Chicago to me because Chicago's surrounded by farmland.
Yeah, well, and again, the upstate, they talk about being a farmland up there.
And
definitely, again, Midwest somewhere, that's
he's like, I'll be around.
Yeah.
If you need me, I'll be around.
Yeah.
And the last line of the film is Somerset walking away. And all he says is, Ernest Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." And I agree with the second part.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. And it's brilliant. I remember did you see this in theaters?
No, this was a rental for me.
I saw this in theater.
Renee, of all people.
Oh, really?
Saw this in the theater and couldn't sleep for days.
I saw this in the theater with my girlfriend at the time and my friend Brad.
Okay.
And it was one of those, it went black and the credits started, and of course they start playing the Bowie song for those of you.
And the credits run from bottom to top,
and
which is completely...
Or run from top to bottom.
No.
Yeah, that's coming down.
Oh, you're right. From top to bottom.
Yeah. And
keeps you on edge because that is completely wrong.
I remember sitting there for like a good 15, 20 seconds in silence and looking over at my friend Brad and him looking back at me. And us just kind of staring at each other for a few seconds. And then my girlfriend was not as into this movie as Brad and I were at this point, Yeah. She was like, "Oh, sucked. You know, I was like, what are you talking about? You know, and we got up and started to walk out, and it was just one of those things. I remember I wasn't really saying much anything. I just kept walking in. I remember we finally got in the parking lot. We watched it at Cinema North up behind the mall.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I remember getting out in the parking lot. We were like walking out with everybody, and I kept saying, it was like, movies don't end that way. Like, movies don't end that way. That you don't see movies end that way.
Yeah.
You know? Now, I was saying that because I was in complete disbelief, not because like, oh, movies can't end like that. It was like, I can't believe I just saw the bad guy win.
Yeah.
You know, just like, and it was one of those things that the longer that I thought about it as, you know, the night went on, I was just like, that was brilliant. That was amazing. That was, I mean, just, I was completely enthralled with this movie. And admittedly, because I was in college at the time, and I remember going to the college library and picking up some of the, you know, Dante's Inferno and a few of those things, like checking them out, you know, and that kind of stuff, and just like
putting yourself on the list.
Yeah, something like that. But I guess so at the time. But believe me, I was already on a list of some sort at that point. So I'm on so many lists now, it's not even funny. It's just
yeah.
It's funny because every time I say that, it reminds me. Did you ever watch Dharma and Greg?
I saw some episodes.
Okay, you know her parents were like being hippies, you know, that kind of stuff. There was an episode, I don't remember 100%. It was something to do, there was somebody in Greg's family life or whatever that was like pretty high up in the FBI or something. You know? Yeah. And so, you know, they were doing something, and Dharma had said something about it, or Greg did one, and then Dharma's dad's all like, what, you know, oh, I'm sure, you know, he knows who I am, you know, because of all this hippie activist stuff, and on the past and that kind of stuff. And so it was one of those things that, you know, he's like nervous about it and all that kind of stuff. And then when he finally meets him, he's always like, yeah, hey, pig, you know, blah, 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 you know, blah, blah. And the guy's like, who are you? He's like, what do you mean? You don't know who I am? He's like, I have no clue who you are whatsoever.
Sorry, I'm not your assigned FBI.
Yeah, but it was just kind of one of those things where he thought that he was on all these, he was on these lists and stuff, and he's like, I have no clue who you are whatsoever.
Well, it's just because that was not his.
Yeah, it's not his assigned. I know.
Assigned FBI agent.
You know, and I like to throw a bone to my personal assigned FBI agent every once in a while and do something really wacky, so it'll give him something to do that day. So it's just we will not discuss some of those websites. So it's
this is why I'm getting ready to buy a bunch of Faraday bags. Just because I hang out with you.
Yeah. I saw it was a little free caption cartoon, you know, and it was like the first one, it was showing cell phones, like text messaging back and forth, and one of them was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting on TikTok, and then it shows the next one, the response was, man, all you're doing is you're allowing the Chinese to spy on you. And then the last one was an FBI guy looking at both the text messages. It's like, exactly.
But see, that FBI guy looking at both of them has his own personal
exactly.
Chinese spy assigned to him.
And then there's a Russian that's watching him, and then there's an Iranian that's watching him, and then there's
no. The Russians are using the Iranians for another.
And let's be honest, Mossad's watching all of us, so it's.
I'm going to try to get some free equipment. So the Faraday bags that I'm looking at are made by Silent. Mm-hmm. You should be able to turn off your phone and slip it in this bag, and no signal should be able to get through. I'm looking at those.
Okay. Since we're on all this stuff,
if Silent accidentally hears this and wants to like send us some free product, thank you. That would be great.
Since we're talking about all of this, I would also like to put my own plug out there of a piece of equipment that I would like to have.
Okay.
There is a new phone that's coming on the market in about a month and a half.
Okay.
It's called the Unplugged phone. It is actually made by people who used to be involved in.
I've already heard about this. One of the podcasts that I listened to was talking about it, and they said it's probably the biggest scam they'd ever seen.
It might be. The thing I like about it, though, is the fact that when you turn it off, it actually physically removes, unattaches the battery. So that there is none of this turning it back on. Now, the thing I didn't like about it is the price. So,
oh no, it's going to be expensive.
$1,000. Yeah. So,
but then again, the iPhone's
$1,000. Yeah. But the thing is with the iPhone though, is that unless you have a grand drop on it right up front, you can at least get it paid off over time. Whereas this one, they want all the money now, and
which why it sounds like a scam.
Yeah, it could be. But there's been plenty of other. Was it the Freedom Phone, and there was the Light Phone is actually one that I actually.
What's the Android? There's one that's an Android.
They're all Android. Yeah, that's all three of those that I mentioned are Android.
That is the one thing I miss, is being able to take the back off and pull.
You can't do that any longer, and that's the one thing I like about this unplugged phone. That's one of the big selling, is that like when you turn it off, you're actually sliding this thing. This button, it slides. Yeah, and when it slides, the battery inside slides where it's not making contact any longer. And I'm like, if nothing else, I like that. Because there have been plenty of examples in the past, maybe not my own personal life, but other people talking about how they knew that there was somebody that was keeping tabs on and that was listening to everything, because they would turn their phone off and they would immediately turn back on. Yeah. And it's like, that's BS.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at the silent Faraday bags.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. Yes, for all of you that have stuck with us this long and heard a little bit of my rant a couple episodes ago, 2024, there's going to be a lot more politics in here, or at least
on his side,
at least conspiracy stuff, and the whole surveillance crap being talked about, because more people need to talk about it so that more people are aware. So yeah. Now again, I only half-jokingly said that I like to throw my FBI agent a bone every once in a while, because I don't think that I'm so important that they're keeping a constant on me. But I think we can all agree that we're all being surveyed in some shape, way, or form that we're not aware of. Surveilled, whatever. I'm sure when they do the transcript, they will put the little SP out next to it for spelling, so it's when they. So this guy can't even pronounce words. Why are we? Yeah. So, any final thoughts on 7?
I kind of wish we hadn't done this now, because now you've damaged me in a way I wasn't expecting.
That's what I'm here for.
I was not expecting that awful mind twist this evening. Thanks, appreciate it.
Well, if you really want to feel bad, I can.
Nope. Don't tell me anything else.
I'm just saying, there's some websites you can go to.
No.
Nope. Hey, let me say this.
It's bad enough that I'm on a list because I'm friends with you.
Let me say this. I'm all for free speech. Okay, I like. Mm-hmm. I 100% believe, as I know you do as well, in the First Amendment and the right to free speech.
Yeah.
I like what Elon Musk has done with X now, about basically opening that up for the most. It's not completely open, but it's opened up a lot more than it was. Okay?
That feels more like an op to me.
But one thing I will say about X that I don't like a whole lot is, I can't tell you how many times I've gone over there to check, just like see what's going on or whatever, and like all of a sudden, like open the app and I'm either staring at someone getting killed or someone like getting hurt very, very badly. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. This is.
It's why I haven't looked at either of the accounts I have there in probably a year or so. And I'm probably going to have to dig up and find the passwords for them so I can just delete both of them. I don't like going over there.
Nothing is deleted permanently. It's all on a server somewhere. So.
Well, yeah. But I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's somebody else's problem at that point. And if it were not for the fact that I have some friends that the only way I can get a hold of them is Facebook, I would be getting rid of Facebook.
I said that for several years. I'm coming up on 2 years without Facebook, and it's been wonderful. And I'll tell you, I understand that.
That and Facebook Marketplace is...
Facebook Marketplace is the one thing I miss about Facebook.
That's about the only thing I use Facebook for.
That is the only thing that I have legitimately thought about going back to Facebook for. And like literally like going in and basically muting everybody and everything or unfriending everybody or whatever.
Start another account and just
I'll tell you the thing about it though is that, and of course it probably doesn't matter a whole lot now since I've already done it, but I don't want to put the app back on my phone because the terms of service that are involved there basically opens up everything on your phone to Facebook.
It's parasitic.
And the same thing with your computer. Yeah. And I'm like, so I don't want to like reopen that if I can help it. But
the only reason I really mess with Instagram is because I have been able to manipulate the algorithm so that I see what I want to see. I don't know how.
For the most part.
I work very hard to curate that, and I've done a really good job on my two.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Yeah. On my own personal Instagram, okay?
Yeah.
You know, when you go over to the Explorer or whatever,
yeah.
You know, like, you know, when you go down and you hit the little like to go find something, you know,
yeah,
out of your main feed.
The search,
that's the word I'm looking for. There will be all of this stuff there,
yeah,
underneath it, and
I don't pay attention to any of that because all of that is stuff that I would not look at anyway.
I, without trying, ran a little experiment.
Yeah.
Like in the beginning, I wasn't really, I was like, no, let's see how this really works, okay? Because most of the stuff that they will push you in there is a lot of like these girls that are half dressed,
yeah,
if you dance videos.
If you put male on your profile, you automatically get all the thirst traps.
And so all of that stuff was coming up and, you know, blah, blah. Well, my son has really become obsessed with goats in the last little bit. He does this kind of stuff. And of course, there's a couple of accounts that I follow that, like, you know, they're goat farms and stuff like that. So it's one of those things. I'll find these cute little videos of baby goats or whatever, and I'll like, you know, like we'll watch them together and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So after doing that for a little bit, all of a sudden I noticed that pretty much that entire thing was a bunch of like animal videos for the most part. Okay. And I noticed that, like, you had to, like, really scroll down before you started getting all that
garbage,
like, that other stuff, you know? And I was like, I wonder. And so I was still going and watching all these animal videos of different, goats or dogs or bats or whatever, you know, just what all this, sloths, like all these different things, you know, and it was pushing me all this stuff.
Yeah.
And so after doing this for a little bit, and that was the predominant, I had to like scroll down quite a bit before I got to anything that was, and also a lot of comedians, like, you know, like little clip, like reels of comedians would come up there because I watch a lot of that stuff as well.
Yeah.
I got down quite a ways, and there was some video of some girl that was dancing provocatively or whatever. She was completely clothed, but it was suggestive enough for that Meta wasn't getting rid of it, you know. So I'm like, I'm gonna try something. I clicked on that one video and watched it for about 2 seconds and then got back off of it and then went and like clicked on a bunch of animal videos.
Yeah.
The next time I came and opened the app and I went over to that search, more than half of the stuff that was pushed to me were videos like that.
Yeah.
As opposed to even though I had clicked on all of these animal videos, more so I had clicked on that one video.
Yep.
And then all this other stuff, that's what they started pushing me, was all of that stuff. And so it got to be one of those things where I was just literally going through and randomly hitting animal videos of different kinds or whatever, to the point to where it's mostly just that stuff now. But I still get all that other sprinkled in. And I'm just like...
It'll take you the better part of a year of clicking on animal videos.
It was
to
crazy.
Push it back down.
I click on one video.
Yep.
Over this stuff, and I get inundated with it. Whereas all the rest, it
was like I was looking at videos of doing vehicle car wraps, vinyl car wraps,
right?
And
probably get motorcycle videos too.
Some of that, but I put in vehicle vinyl wrap.
Oh, vinyl.
I didn't get a single car. I got an entire list
of women in vinyl. Yeah,
women in vinyl, which is not what I searched for at all. I was like, no, this is not what I want.
Right. I know. And it's just
and they still pop up in my search, which is why I don't look at any of the search stuff. It's
I
garbage.
will say, with the search, it's all there, but I don't get that stuff in my regular feed. Because again, usually the stuff that I watch over there are animal videos, but stuff that I follow.
Well,
and then even the stuff after you get past the you're all caught up, the suggested stuff is still a lot of comedians.
Yeah.
And usually some kind of car videos or motorcycle videos or animal stuff or whatever. And I'm like, I'm fine with all that. I don't get any of that other crap in there.
Even when I'm going through my feed, if I see one that's sponsored, I'll click on the 3 buttons and go, I do not want to see this.
Yeah, I go through a lot of that stuff as well.
And I see one that I see a video that they've just put in my feed. It's not sponsored that they think I want to see. It's not something I don't want to see. I don't want to see this. And it's kind of like back in the day with Pandora. I still have my Pandora. I love my Pandora because I use it like my radio station.
Any of that stuff anymore.
Especially
Spotify.
I've got some stations on Pandora that I have curated by adding bands or deleting songs I didn't like and have really got them tuned into.
But you had to put a lot of work in for that. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I remember back when I had Pandora when I first got a smartphone over a decade ago. And you're like, oh, yeah, I like this band. And you're like putting it in there. And then I was like, no, I just want to hear this stuff. I don't want to hear all this other stuff. And it was like, this is too much work to
Pandora, I used like a radio station, and I also used it to discover bands that I wasn't familiar with. Spotify was what I was using to actually build playlist with.
Yeah. Even when I had Spotify, I didn't use it that much. And it really, a lot of the reason that I wound up keeping Spotify for as long as I did was because of Joe Rogan podcast becoming exclusive there. Yeah. And then after it was found out that even if you deleted Spotify from your phone, it was still collecting data on you.
Yeah.
And then the fact of when we started doing all of this, and reading their terms of service, I was like, I want nothing to do with this whatsoever. And I deleted it. I mean, not only the app, I went in, deleted my account, and then deleted the app. But of course, that was like 2 phones ago. Yeah. So I never had it on my computer, so thankfully it's not there. But it was just one of those things where it's like, look, I know I'm going to get a new phone before long, and I'm not re-downloading this thing. So I use it
too much.
Yeah.
The one reason when Spotify first came out, you were supposed to be able to integrate your Apple library.
Right. You were supposed to.
And you're supposed to be able to listen to your Apple Music plus, the radio stations. And the Apple integration feature on it never worked correctly.
So
ever.
That I don't like streaming. If I like a piece of music, if I like a band or an album, I'll buy it.
Well, what I'm using it for is, if I hear a song or a band or something that I like, I'll go there, I'll listen to it first. If I consider, if I like it enough and there's enough songs on that album.
You know what I use for that now?
What?
YouTube. I use that more than anything, because you'd be surprised how much music, and I'm not talking about like YouTube music. I know they have their own separate thing, but I'm just talking about just YouTube proper.
Yeah.
If there's a band like you were telling, was that what was the name of that band earlier?
Hold on.
Daisy, or is it?
Hold on, I can tell you. I can pull it back up.
Yeah, let me write that down while I'm thinking about it, because I know I'll forget it later. I'll be like, what was the name of that band Dave told me about?
Daisy Grenade.
Daisy Grenade.
Yeah.
I will go to YouTube and see what's on there. And a lot of times you will find just the music on there. Like it's just like a picture of the album cover or something, but the whole album will be there or whatever. And it's usually official stuff. It's not something somebody's uploaded. And that's where I'll listen, like, do I like this? And kind of go through what do I like? What about this song? What about this song? Blah, blah, blah. And then if I really like it, I'll go purchase it.
Yeah.
And the whole streaming thing, especially the way that the artists get paid on that stuff is complete BS. And so I'm just like, I am not going to participate in something I vehemently disagree with, the way that they're, and I'm always on the artist side when it comes to those arguments.
Oh yeah,
100%.
No,
if there was a way I could like buy directly from them, as opposed to going through all the other channels, I will go there before.
Yeah.
If I have the option, I will go there first, rather than going through Apple or any of the rest of the stuff. Although I am not against iTunes, Apple Music per se, because they're doing better than a lot of the other ones as far as their splits and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I would still rather just give the band or the singer or whatever the money directly and bypass all of that.
Yeah.
But that's just me. So I guess that's that old school.
If the radio
mentality.
stations would actually play new, decent music and not the same crap that
I
they
can't
were
listen
playing
to radio anymore,
a decade
or
ago.
more. Man, it's someone that I listen to, a podcast.
What's the name of it?
I'm not going to go into all that because it's Tim Pool's podcast.
Oh, are you a pulley?
Yeah, I've been listening to Tim Pool for a few years now. But he posited a while back, and he said it several times, he's like, and I tend to agree with this, and I know some of it is, maybe it's just old man, yells at cloud type situation.
Yeah.
But he was like, the 90s were the last real decade. Like, it was the last decade. Because that was the last time that you had music and movies and all this culture that was new and exciting.
Well, what year was it they turned on the Hadron Collider?
It was 2012, 2013, somewhere around there.
It's got to be 12.
Somewhere in there.
That's where a lot of people are.
But even if you go, and the reason why he said it, and I tend to agree with putting my own spin on this, is that once we crossed over into
the 2000s,
2000, the new millennium, whatever you want to say about it, all you were getting was a bunch of rehashes. Everything that you would hear on the radio, for the most part, if it was not a cover of something that had come out either in the 80s or 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever.
It was something that
sounded almost identical to it, or it was so close to it that it was like, or in the movies, all the remakes, or going back to the well on all these franchises. And even when you want to what about, think about what was the last big IP that was put out in movies that was wholly original, that wasn't based off of a previous book series, or that was a sequel to something, or it was set in the same universe as something else, or, seriously. Exactly. Because all the Marvel movies are based on previously, the Marvel and DC movies, all the comic book movies in general, the superheroes, they're all based on something else. Okay? All of them were on something that pre-existed. Okay? Yeah. The Harry Potter books pre-existed.
Yeah.
Okay? The Lord of the Rings pre-existed. The Game of Thrones, those books all pre-existed. They were all based on something that was already created.
Yeah.
Or they were a sequel to something, or of a movie franchise that...
Well, that's like friggin' Zack Snyder didn't get his Star Wars movie, so he took his idea and went and made a Star Wars movie that doesn't belong to Star Wars.
What are you talking
about? It's a Netflix film.
Zack Snyder?
Yeah, it's like Rebel Moon.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's... And then look at, when you had Disney buying up Star Wars, and they've ruined that. And they bought Marvel Studios, they ruined that.
You either die a hero or
you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Yeah. I know, and Disney has done that.
Yep.
But the funny thing is, Disney's seen themselves do that several times. they've reinvented themselves, but I think they may be at endgame now, no pun intended, because they have just screwed things up so terribly. And I'm done with all of it. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole again because I've gone down it before. But really and truly, think about that. Think about any original music that you've heard.
No, there's nothing.
Exactly. Every
Oliver
once in a
Anthony.
while, I don't particularly like his music though. It's a cool song. I like the concept of the song.
You've also got Tyler Childers, Sturgill Simpson.
I particularly don't care for any of them though. That's the whole thing. So it's anyway, that's a whole other. I really and truly kind of believe that when the new decade or the new century or whatever you want to call it, when 2000 rolled around, everything stopped.
Well, it's going back to one of the Gen X movies we've already talked about with Pump Up the Volume. All the great ideas have been used.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree with that. So
yeah,
and I'm going to leave with a quote from one of those books that put me on a list a long time ago, Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
Holden Caulfield in that book said, the quote is, "That's the problem. Anytime you go somewhere new and exciting, someone's already been there and written fuck you on the wall." It's true. So, with that pleasant note, to bring this really dark episode to a close, go and check all of our show notes and social medias and all that kind of stuff before we get off on another tangent. For the Project Gen X podcast, I am Alan Smith.
I am the other guy, Big Dave.
And we will see you next time for a happier episode.
I'm not sleeping tonight. Thanks for that. See ya.
The heart's filthy lesson